Are you still looking for romance in your life? A lot of people are. There's nothing wrong with that. You're never too old for romance. I don't care if you're 70 or you're 90. There are people that love being in love and they like having a romantic partner, and that's absolutely wonderful. It's just not for everybody. It's just not for everybody. But being in love with someone is wonderful. I mean, I was in love maybe at least half a dozen times in my life, and I remember it. I remember that feeling. I know how the world just goes from being black and white to all of a sudden like Technicolor times 10, just amazing. And how everything just is better. The day looks brighter, the food tastes better, everything is just wonderful when you're in love. So I am certainly not bashing love. And if you're watching this that you think I'm going to bash it, I'm not. I'm just saying at this point in my life, it's not for me. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. One of the things that prompted this video is that I actually had a few viewers ask me. I did this one video on a few of my past relationships, especially I think 2 marriages and then my last like significant relationship. But I didn't talk about all the relationships, of course, in my life. But some viewers wanted me to talk a little bit more about what I thought about romantic relationships. So that's why I'm doing this video today. So, and I hope you'll stay tuned till the end. Again, this is Elder Gal Channel, and I'm Allison. So let's talk a little bit more about this. Um, you know, I haven't been in love in a long time. The last time I really loved somebody was over 20 years ago. So, and that love still persisted for a while, even after the breakup, of course, that I had. But I did have a lot of significant loves in my life. I'm laughing a little bit because I'm remembering that I had one viewer, I don't remember, it's been a while ago, but one viewer said, I don't know how anybody could love you. Like, it just made me laugh, and then I blocked them. But the point is that, yes, I have been loved and I have loved others. And so I know of what I speak when I talk about love. And love is wonderful. It really is. But the type of romantic love that I'm talking about in this video, to me, it's not necessary for me anymore in my life. Now, is that saying that I would never be open to it? No, I'm not saying that. Just saying I'm not looking for it. I'm not out there actively seeking it. I think that's the difference. So stay tuned with me. I'm going to go back inside. I've been sitting out here outside. It's a beautiful day, and I'm going to go back inside and we'll pick up this talk there. So now that I'm back in my little studio, let's talk more about love. So I'm going to share with you kind of some thoughts on experiences being in love, falling in love, that sort of thing. And I know that that probably does shape somewhat of my attitude now. So that's why I'm going to share this. I know in the video that I did, which I'll link to this video online, which was about my previous, I think it was on my 2 marriages and then also my last long term relationship I had. But I didn't talk about some other romantic relationships I had. And the one I think that really affected me more than any of them was my first love. And I'll just kind of give you the overview of this because, and again, not using real names, but my first love really did affect the way that I looked at relationships. And especially because that first love relationship actually resurfaced in my life when I was about 40 years old. So it was kind of a double whammy, shall we say, of emotional like hurt. And in fact, that was the person who actually he broke my heart twice. So there you go. But my first love, I just loved him. I loved him from the time I was probably 16 years old, and we had a strange relationship. We had an incredible connection, a lot of chemistry. He was very smart, very talented. We enjoyed each other's company, and but we actually did not have a sexual relationship until actually I had sex with him the first time when I was 30 years old. And it was kind of, the reason for that was not any kind of moral, high ground or anything. It was just that we were kind of both so innocent and inexperienced when we were teens that it just never happened. It was kind of weird. Like, I mean, there was a lot of the normal, making out kind of thing, but there wasn't, it's not that I don't think either of us wanted to. I know we did. It just for some reason didn't happen. And so that also, I think, caused this lingering, like I never really got over him at that point. And so we reconnected when we were about 30. We basically had a brief fling, shall we call it, and then went our separate ways. And then that was for maybe another decade. And then he came back into my life when we were 40. And that turned into a full blown affair off and on for about 2, 3 years. And so, and that's when the really big, hurtful, heartbreak occurred. I mean, I was heartbroken when we broke up as teens, but I actually broke up with him when we were teens. But then, and I actually was the one who actually I just remembered that. I was the one who broke up with him when we were like 40, I guess 42 by that time. Um, but I did it because I knew that it wasn't going anywhere. And I'm not going to go into details and a lot of, backstory of why that wasn't going to work out. It just wasn't going to work out. And so, and with time, we actually stayed friends for another, I'm going to say another 8 years after we broke up from the affair. We stayed friends. But I mean, we were long distance friends. He didn't live near me. And, uh, and then finally it just disintegrated. I mean, he really let me down as a friend when I really needed a friend in my life. Let's put it that way. And so I just kind of shut that door and I realized he really wasn't my friend, which is sad. So the point of sharing this with you is that heartbreak and loving him as much as, I mean, I think I loved him more than anyone I ever loved, honestly. And that heartbreak over that, I think, really caused me to, first of all, question the people I might fall in love with, for one thing, because I realize now in retrospect that we were a horrible match together. It would never have worked. I would eventually have never been happy with him. He wouldn't have been happy with me. It just, there was a lot of chemistry there. There was a lot of kind of connection on maybe a deeper level, but in reality of living our lives, it would never have worked. As I tell you this story of this relationship I had, it makes me really sad. It makes me sad that I really chose the wrong person. That's really the bottom line. I really loved this person, but I really chose the wrong person. And so that has made me question and doubt my own ability to choose the right person for myself. And maybe that is what is partially behind this. Maybe the reason I don't really want to have that in my life anymore is I don't really trust myself. And that's a hard thing because I do trust myself in other ways in life. But on that particular score, I don't know. I really don't understand why I had such a connection with this person that I knew on some level it was never going to work out. It was just never going to work out. So that brings me back to the question of, am I really done with romance or, turning my back on it? Well, yes and no, as I said before. So let's deal with the no thing first. After I've just told you that story, if I met somebody who had the qualities that I think would make an amazing person to, live with or be companions with, whatever, in my life, would I turn my back on that? Probably not. And when I talk about the qualities in a person that I think would be amazing, a guy would have to be intelligent, he'd have to be funny. Sense of humor is like essential. He'd have to be kind. He'd have to be generous of spirit. He'd have to know how to be loving and affectionate in some way. Those are qualities that are, to me, are just, they're essential. Now, even if I met someone like that, would it be tempting? Maybe. It just depends. I wouldn't know until that happened. Here's the caveat to this. I'm not looking for that. I'm not out there seeking it. If someday when I'm traveling around or living in Europe or hopefully, France, wherever, would I love to meet somebody that I really clicked with and that really turned out to be a wonderful human being and I'd like to be with them? Sure, I'm open to that, but I'm not looking for it. I'm living my life, continuing on with my life, not looking for that. So the yes part of the am I done with romantic relationships is that I am content with where I'm at in life. I am content. I am happy with my own company. I enjoy my own company. I enjoy what I do, what my purpose is in life here, being part of it, being on this channel and hopefully helping others through my words. I am, I have a life planned out and it doesn't require that I be in a romantic relationship. Now, do I want friends? Of course. To me, friends or people to be with and share things with are still an essential part of, I think, a healthy life in some way. Even if you only have 2 or 3 good friends, I think it's still important to have some friends. And if your friends, I get a lot of comments from viewers that tell me that like they had a good friend or best friend and their friends have passed away and that it's really hard to make new friends. I've discussed this in other videos. Of course it's hard to make new friends. There's no question of it. But I still think that's an important quest. In other words, I've put my energies more into making good friends than thinking about potential romantic relationships. That's the difference. As I said before, I know that my mistakes I made in romance, and again, I have not shared all of that with you so far. I've only shared, some of it. But that the mistakes I've made with this have really colored the way I look at romantic relationships, that I don't have that same, sense of optimism and hope about it as I did in my 20s or even 30s. So, that's me. I know that it may not be a good thing, but that's who I am. So I'm not advocating that you go out there and not have any more romantic relationships at all. Here's what I would say, though. What I have learned from my experience is you have to really understand yourself and why you chose certain relationships or maybe why you didn't choose certain relationships, what worked, what didn't work. And you have to make that analysis for yourself. I can't tell you there's no real right or wrong to this. It's really what works for you. And if you're a person that's very romantic and you want to go out there and you want to have as much romance as you can throughout the rest of your life, go for it. Absolutely. Seriously, I think that's wonderful for some people. I think for other people like myself, because I don't trust myself in choosing the right person for me, I would rather have friends and be focused on that than focused and obsessed about trying to find a guy in my life. I've seen older women who are just they have to have a husband. If their husband passed away or they're divorced, they within 2 years they got to find another husband. And again, it's not wrong. If that's what they need, that's what they need. I just personally don't need that. And I don't need another bad relationship in my life. The last relationship, I shared this a little bit in the video I did earlier. The last relationship I had where I did love him. Um, it really was not healthy either. It was not healthy. I was old. I was 10 years older than him, which really affected me all the time. We had good communication with us, and we actually did have some good things about the relationship, don't get me wrong. But it just wasn't a healthy relationship in many ways. And although I loved him, I don't think I loved him to the degree he loved me. And that always made, and of course, that happens in a lot of relationships, but where there's an imbalance in the level of love one partner has for the other. But uh, I learned a lot from that one too, which is that, when I get into a relationship, it is really hard for me to get out of one, especially the older I got, because when I knew I should have ended that with him, but I didn't because I was getting older and I was really afraid. I was afraid at that time to be alone. And I've talked about that in other videos of mine. And because of that, I had to go through a lot of years of hard times recovering from that and learning how to really be on my own. Well, now I know how to do that. I know how to be on my own. I know how to live the single life, and I'm content with it, and I've made peace with it. And I certainly don't want any of you feeling bad for me about this. I'm just sharing this because there may be some of you out there like me, and I don't want you to feel bad because you've decided that you don't want this to be part of your life. You may have your own reasons, and they may be different from mine. But the thing is, everyone has to decide for themselves what's right for them. I'm just sharing with you what's right for me at this point in time, which is that I'm not looking for a romantic relationship, and I'm happy with that at this point. So anyway, until next time, be well, be kind, keep moving forward, and take care. Bye.